How are you, Ben?
I'm good. I'm good.
Knackered? You're knackered?
Oh, look, we're getting through it. I'm always like around this time is when I start to fade
Mm.
because I my body clock has not adjusted to New Zealand time, and I'm getting up even earlier uh because I like to do 3 a.m. shits. So
That's 1 a.m. shits in Australia.
in Australia,
Well, I mean, what's a bit of random shit banter to lead us into this weekly segment?
yeah.
That's staying in the show, by the way.
The good news is that the releases this week aren't shit. So there's that.
Excellent. Let's talk about them. How are you guys
All
going?
right. We're going good. We're going good. We've just been busy working on behind the scenes of this New Zealand horror film. I've been watching a lot of practical effects, which is terrific. I mean, the
Mm,
special effects in this film are going to be incredible. It's a body horror film. I can't say too much more, but
yeah.
maybe in a week's time, once the press release has gone out, we can speak a little
Cool.
bit more freely of it. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun and finally working on a horror film because we've been behind the scenes on everything from comedy crime capers to dark thrillers to science fiction features, but not like a actual multi-million dollar budget horror
Mm,
movie. So it's refreshing to be. And the weirdest thing is when we're doing behind the scenes interviews with cast, not so much crew at this point, but the cast. Not a single cast member is massively into horror films. In fact, most of them are actually quite frightened by horror
They're
films,
terrified by them.
and it just blows our mind because we're like, oh, okay, cool. They're not even 100% sure whether they could stomach watching this film, but
wow.
will clearly because they're in it. So yeah, it's
Oh,
interesting.
there you go. Two guys from Monster Fest are the perfect ones for them to be talking to.
Oh, well, even better than that was one of the girls talked about a film they had not seen, but seen scenes from and the poster art, and it had been spoken about so much. And they go, I think it was called The Human Caterpillar. And we're like, oh, The Human Centipede. And she's like, yes, that's it. And then Ben's like, we did that one. She's like, what?
We're
Yeah, we
responsible.
distributed that one back here in New Zealand and in Australia. So
That's
Yeah.
yeah,
funny.
I think after that she kind of looked for the nearest exit. Was like, "Ooh, ooh."
Yeah.
And did you tell her there were three of them?
We did. I did. They kept making them. They kept making them, and then I think she said, "So where do they come from? The US?" And what did you say, Ben?
I said no, they come from they're Dutch films.
And she's
Tom
like,
Six and she's like, of course it's the Dutch. It's very much
"Excellent," but
it's
it
that Michael Caine's not wrong in Austin Powers. Like there's only two things I can't stand in this world. It's racial intolerance of any kind and the Dutch.
amazing,
All
amazing.
right.
So, what's out this week on home entertainment? There's three actual huge releases coming out. I'll speak about the one I'm most excited about first, and that's Megan. And that's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. Now, this has got both versions of the film, the theatrical, and what they're calling on the local release, the unrated version, which clearly is rated MA. So we're going to go with uncut, the uncut version
I
of the
hate that
film.
so much.
It's ridiculous, and it's becoming a common theme amongst the majors at the moment. It's like they've got that lazy at redoing the art for these releases that they're just, and you're like, well, clearly that's just,
Is there nobody in those departments that actually raises a hand and says, "Hey, it's actually rated"? Like,
I honestly don't. I don't think so because I remember receiving. Oh God, it was probably maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I got a full slick of an upcoming release because they sent it to me so I could grab the special features for an article I was doing for the Monster Fest site. And I noticed that the aspect ratio was a bit odd. It had said it was 235 to 1, letterboxed. And I went, that doesn't sound right. It should be 16:9, not letterboxed. And then I
yeah,
also looked and it had that one of the audio tracks, one of the languages was Atmos. And I said, well, that's not a language. That's the audio codec.
yeah,
And me supplying that information to them was just baffling. And so I had to send them what the back of the foreign release looked like so they could marry it
yeah,
up.
yeah.
And then
Wow.
it went through a chain of command till it came back and they went, he sent us the artwork for the UK one. No, ours is this one. And they resent the same image again. So I had to circle what I was talking about and say, no, this is wrong. And
Wow.
I don't know if it actually, the finished product had it or not. I think they all looked at me like, responded to me on email like, I was, one, a massive nerd, and two, they didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, and it wasn't going to make a difference to them.
No, but you guys, you work in distribution. Have you ever had that conversation whether you should release something with unrated slapped on the cover?
Definitely.
No. No, but we have had, I can't remember what title it was, Jarret. I'm pretty sure we went out with one title that had we put the Banned in Queensland logo on it.
It wasn't Bloodlust, was it?
It may have been Bloodlust, or maybe Smoke 'em, if you got them. I don't know if we did it just as a thing, but we actually did get questions about, is this, legitimate questions from retailers. Is this actually banned in Queensland?
Incredible. And that'll lead me into another point I want to talk about, but we'll save that until I get through this week's releases. So Megan, apart from the 2 cuts of the film, you actually get 3 featurettes. Look, they're marketing, EPKs, they're nothing special. So it's a shame there's no deleted scenes, but I guess they were all used in the uncut version. And there's no audio commentary. Look, so it's a little bit light on, but look, I'm happy that we're actually getting to see that version that we would get to see the first time around.
Fun movie. Looking forward to it.
What about all the social media stuff they did with the Megan and the dancing and all that? None of that stuff is going to be on the
Well, I think that, they've got their home ed department, their theatrical division, then they've got their marketing department.
And they don't talk to each other.
And none of them speak to one another. They're probably completely unaware. Even Smile, which did come out in a fantastic edition locally, unfortunately no 4K Ultra HD though, despite there being one in the States and the UK. That release didn't have any of the, the marketing stuff they did. And they did some great viral stuff because they had the girl, standing behind home base, doing the maniacal smile. And that was just like this viral sort of advertising that they did. And they did, people appearing at train stations and department stores doing it all so they could get like people sharing it on social media. But of course, that would be an amazing special feature, but maybe not until a boutique label re-releases the film in 20 years' time if physical media is still around. I hope it is. Okay, so another release that's coming out this week is a film that I haven't seen, but I really want to check out. And I think I'm going to have to import it because they're not doing the 4K Ultra HD locally. And if I'm going to watch this one, I want to see it in optimum quality. It's Babylon. It's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yes.
Now, you lads saw this film, and what was your general take on it?
Freaking loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And I think, especially after the week we've had, Jarret, you will really appreciate the elephant stuff in Babylon.
I did spy some of the elephant stuff on another passenger's monitor on the plane. I said to Ben, I don't know what this guy's watching, but an elephant just shat on a guy, and he goes, "Oh, that's Babylon."
I love that. That's fucking hilarious. I never think about that. Like the films they put on a plane, it's like the casual observer can just cop a look.
It's just like what is
very inappropriate.
Yeah, and that's in the first hour of that film. I don't want to couch it because it does go for 3.5 hours or something like that.
The elephant shitting scene or the entire duration of the movie?
Yeah, no, just the elephant shitting scene.
But the first hour is just debauchery.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds like my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So that one's coming out, and again, it's a bit of a lackluster release. There's only a handful of featurettes on there. I think 3 featurettes again, but at least there's some deleted scenes on there. But sadly, no audio commentary. And like I said, I want to see it, and I'm going to import the 4K. The US 4K's got Atmos, so look, it's a marriage made in heaven.
Shame about the commentary. It would be a good commentary.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, will this film get another release down the track? Unless it's, looked kindly upon by someone like Criterion down the track. I honestly don't think so. So it's a shame.
Cult film value. It's got very much a cult kind of film value.
Well, it could turn out to be the next Day of the Locust, where it was like critically sort of reviled at the time of release, and then some 30, almost 40 years later, the film is celebrated and heralded as a classic. So it could be the same thing. And then the last one I want to mention that's being released this week is the new Steven Spielberg film, The Fabelmans, and that's coming out. And again, it's this. You mean
the Femans, the Femans.
It's a good one.
No, sorry, that was so
Meet the Feebles?
No, I know what he was going for there. I just didn't think it through.
It didn't quite work. It didn't. The theme the theme review of the theme and didn't
Yeah,
pan, the gag didn't pan out.
I've been
Is
sitting
this an
across the
in
desk.
joke for someone that
No,
seen the film? Or
I've
no,
been
okay,
I've been
okay,
sitting
I'm
across the
lost.
desk long enough from Ben to know exactly where his brain was in that moment.
Yeah, no,
And I was
just
on
like-
board for the wreck.
Yeah.
I was just a confused onlooker. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I wish I was in on it. But the Fablemans, and again, yeah, like I said, a sort of lackluster release, just a handful of featurettes, 3 in fact, and the trailer for the film, and that's all you're going to get. But I feel like that film may get another release down the track. And I mean, again, no 4K locally, just Blu-ray and DVD, and again, it got a 4K release in the United States. That's a try before you buy for me, so I think it's one that I might watch on the plane trip home, because I'm pretty sure I saw it on the in-flight viewing.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. Like it's not a masterpiece, but I think it's a film I will appreciate more the more I go back to it. And what was it?
Right.
Is it Dennis Villeneuve or whatever, the guy that made Dune, has hailed it like the greatest film about film ever made?
That's incredible. Has he seen Robert Altman's The Player?
Has he seen 100 other movies that are about film?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, has he not seen State and Maine?
I was just about to say it because I thought you would.
Cinema Paradiso? Come on.
All the classics. All the classics. Soap Dish? No, that one's about TV. But still a very good film. Maybe.
The what was it? How to film an orgy? What was that film?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Something
one of those
along
ones. I mean,
yeah.
They had to make a porno.
That was that Christopher
Exactly.
Zack and Mira make a porno.
For your consideration.
No, that one is too, but no, the Christopher Guest one with Kevin Bacon and he's pushing the trolley with the camera.
The big picture?
Yeah.
Big picture, yeah.
That was great too.
Yeah.
With Chuck from Better Call Saul.
Oh, which is from all of the Christopher Guest movies.
Exactly. It's such a. I remember revisiting that film a few years ago, and it was such a weird juxtaposition to be watching that as Better Call Saul aired and seeing the age difference of Michael McKean between.
The way that we identify Michael McKean has changed completely. Like, because now Saul is the first thing that comes to my mind. Where once upon a time it was like any of the fucking comedies he made way back when.
Precisely, yeah. Any of the mockumentaries.
Dave St. Hubbins, fucking anyway.
Incredible. Then the other news that we want to speak about is the fact that Houseboat Horror has officially been announced by Umbrella Entertainment last week. They've announced that they're releasing the sort of standard collector's edition and then like a limited edition collector's edition that comes in a bundle with some art cards, a 48-page perfect bound book, an A3 reversible poster, and a very cool Banned in Queensland pin. But in addition to that, the disc, both releases are fully loaded with special features. I mean, you've got 7 featurettes on there with everyone from cast to crew to even Michael Helms talking about Melbourne filmmaking and shot on video film in Australia, or shot on video. I should remove the word film from that completely. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. There's a commentary track that I will be recording. We haven't recorded it yet, but I'm recording with The Late Show's Tony Martin, which I'm really excited about.
Come on, you're playing that down. That's a huge deal.
Oh, I'm so excited about it. I'm trying to play it down so I can keep the fanboy in me at bay.
That's true, but there's a history with Tony Martin in this film.
Absolutely. Tony Martin is responsible for pretty much introducing this film to a massive audience, because when it was released on video in 1991, no pun intended, but it pretty much sank. It came out through an indie distributor. It made it into, a handful of video stores. It was banned in Queensland, so it wasn't readily accessible there, and it kind of just disappeared. It didn't really turn out to be what Ollie had hoped it would once be. And I mean, obviously the special features will tell you how troubled the production was and how long it took to take it from the initial shooting through to release. But the fact that that came out in 91. Then The Late Show did a sketch, with their undiscovered masterpiece of cinema in 1992, and sort of did a really funny take, review of the film.
Of it. Yeah.
A piss take, and it blew the film up. From there, Gavin Wood received fan mail. They reissued the film on a sell-through video that actually played up the fact it was such a bad movie on the back of the slick. And it found a new audience. It found an audience, I should say, really. And it even then got broadcast on Channel 9, 2 years later. So he was a key part in bringing this film to the wider sort of, viewership. So
that is super exciting. I mean, I don't know how you're going to control yourself and not want to talk about bad eggs.
I know I'm going to have my bad eggs just sitting there going, "Hey Tony, when we're done, you sign this, yeah?"
I live not far from the shopping center at the start of that film now, so we can recreate it if you want.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Then I'll send Tony a text with a picture, and I'll go, "Hey mate, look, we're just checking out some of the locations from Bad Eggs.
We're just driving irresponsibly down a hill."
So that thing's fully loaded. In fact, in addition to everything that Umbrella have currently announced, they haven't announced the essays that are going to be in the 48-page Perfect Bound booklet. Now, Ben, do you want to enlighten the good people as to what you might find in that booklet?
Well, at the moment, there will be an essay on the four great Australian SOV films, or at least four. I think there is actually a few more that John Harrison is putting together for us. There is a good friend of ours, Mr. Andrew Leibold, is putting together a Band in Queensland essay. And there is another one, but I don't really want to talk about that one yet, just in case it doesn't happen, because there may be some illnesses getting in the way of that one, and I don't want to.
Not of the writer, but of another person that's involved.
One of the other person that was involved in it, yeah. But it'll also be full of vintage archival EPK materials and a bunch of other stuff. So there'll be more houseboat horror stuff collated in this release than in any other way, in any other time. I'm kind of shocked at the treatment that we're giving this deserving film.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we've got to make it happen.
Yeah. And look, if you've never listened to Good Movie Monday, or you came on board later, like, Jarrett's history with this film goes back. This was an April Fool's gag that he pulled, where he joked about releasing this film, and now it's actually happening.
It's amazing. It's funny because we had someone comment on our social media about that cruel prank we did, but now it's become a reality. And I said, thankfully, we're kind of involved in it because we've been able to make the reality of the faux featurette You'll Bar Up with Gavin Wood a reality, and I've kept it as that title, so it's like prank come true. So
this has happened to you, and Ben, like, you managed to release Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, which was like almost a dream project of yours. So like, you guys are doing kicking goals, man.
It's amazing. I remember when we were doing Smoke 'Em, and I was doing it with Ben, and we're doing the interviews and stuff, and I was asking Ray Bosley questions about houseboat horror. And God, you would never have thought that, some 6 years maybe 7 years down the track, that we'd finally be doing houseboat. And on Blu-ray too, which is phenomenal.
Now it's my turn, and maybe there is hope for Caddyshack 2. We'll just wait and see.
dig into that Warner archive. They need to get that thing out ASAP.
Yeah.
And as a bonus content,
4K
bonus content, like secret Easter egg, you've got Harp Lips.
Yeah, they need to work fast before Jonathan Silverman passes away.
Oh yeah, true. Well, I mean, they've got to do a Weekend at Bernie's special edition before he goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I may mention one more special feature that we can confirm will be on the release. I believe I can. Ben, the documentary. Can we talk about that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so Ollie Martin did direct a documentary at the same time as he was directing Houseboat Horror, and it's a documentary about Australian stuntmen. And it actually has a really great sort of 15-minute piece on Houseboat Horror. It is phenomenal. But the entire documentary, it's Jacko Presents the Mad Daredevils Down Under, will be included in SD as like a bonus feature. But it's sort of hard to get your hands on this one. Obviously, it hasn't had a disc release. It was released to tape through the same label that released Houseboat Horror on video back in the day. So that
which actually turns out to be Johnny Young. Johnny Young's video label.
From Johnny Young
from
Talent
Young
Time.
Talent Time. Yeah. Of all the people in Australian media, he is not the one I would have picked to be the savior of Houseboat, of the original theatrical, or the original release of Houseboat Horror.
It's phenomenal. And there's some other stuff we're working on that we're hoping to get cleared in time, because all the materials are due fairly soon. So hopefully we can get them cleared. But I mean, if we get these other extras, this thing is just going to be, I think it's going to be it's going to be the most astounding, huge release of any Australian film that I can think of, and I love that it's houseboat horror.
It's houseboat horror.
It's amazing. It's amazing to think this will have a better edition than Picnic at Hanging Rock, Mad Max. You know, all of these celebrated Australian classics and houseboat horror. Yeah, it will win in the end.
Amazing. There we go. All right, well, there we go. That is a wrap, and it's very weird to be talking to Ben in New Zealand when he's on the show. Like, you know, there's no curtain here.
He's omnipresent. He's just something else. He's got like one of those, he's got those Seth Brundle teleporters here, so I'm pretty sure he can be there in the studio, albeit with maybe some weird deformities.
What I can do is I can leave a phone here, hidden away in the Airbnb, and then like call the phone, control it remotely, and link in to the show. So I can, well, technically I will be physically in Melbourne. My transmission will be coming from New Zealand. There'll be a weird delay though. Seems excessive.
We've gotten to like, this is what, we're half an hour or so into the show, and that's clearly not what happened.
No. he's just writing a Christopher Nolan script right now.
Yeah. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, none of this makes sense. So anyway, guys, I'll let you guys go, and I'll see you back on the show, Ben. And you next week, Jarret.
See you, mate.